The Attorney General's Chambers has filed an appeal against parts of the Kota Kinabalu High Court's ruling on Sabah special grants. Meanwhile, around 100 people gathered outside the MACC headquarters today for the Tangkap Jurong rally. Stay tuned for this and more on Kini News. The AGC filed an appeal on November 13th against parts of the recent Sabah ruling. However, the AGC stressed that the government is not appealing the ruling on Sabah's 40% share of revenue.
The Attorney General's Chamber has appealed against parts of the Kota Kinabalu High Court's ruling. Documents cited by Malaysia Kini showed that the notice of appeal was filed at the Court of Appeal on November 13th. The AGC is appealing against the court's findings on evidence relating to the existence of an ongoing review between the federal government and the state government. Apart from this, the AGC is appealing against the court's interpretation and application of Article 112D of the Constitution, which formed the basis of the order. Article 112D mandates the periodic review of special grants paid by the federal government to Sabah and Sarawak. The AGC is appealing against the court's findings and declaration that Putrajaya and the Sabah government's use of powers under Article 112D amounted to an abuse of power and a breach of constitutional duties, as well as against the court ruling that found no evidence of an existing ongoing review between the two parties. It is also appealing against the court's ruling that found the special grant review orders gazetted on April 20th, 2022, November 24th, 2023, and August 27th, 2025 being illegal, irrational, procedurally improper, or disproportionate. Meanwhile, in a statement, the AGC reiterated that the federal government is not appealing on the issue of Sabah's 40% revenue entitlement and will move forward with negotiations with the Sabah government without delay.
The Tangkap Jurong rally took place this morning with businessperson Albert Tay among the protesters. Tay was among those that spoke at the rally. Let's take a look at what he said.
Over 100 people showed up for the Tangkap Jurong rally, targeting Sabah caretaker Chief Minister Haji Noor, and over a dozen Sabah Assembly persons implicated in the mining corruption scandal. The rally, which was held to call for the MACC to act against the lawmakers that had been implicated in the Sabah mining scandal, concluded peacefully after about 2 hours. Whistleblower Albert Tay fronted the rally, which comprised of mostly activists and influencers who had amplified the call to their social media followers for MACC to act. While addressing the crowd, Tay urged voters in Sabah to make sure those implicated lose in the upcoming polls.
Besok adalah hari pencalonan. Saya bukan orang politik, tapi besok adalah hari pencalonan. Saya harap orang Sabah pilihlah kerajaan yang bagus. Saya tidak mengesyorkan atau tidak mencadangkan sesiapa sebab saya tak terlibat politik. Saya hanya businessman. Pastikan orang ini semua kalah. Jika mereka kalah, mereka tiada nilai politik untuk Anwar Ibrahim lagi. Mereka akan dituduh beratus satu-satu akan dituduh ke mahkamah.
During the rally, protesters raised placards highlighting faces and names of the Sabah lawmakers, all of whom had previously denied the allegations against them, with some wearing a mask of Haji's face. The MACC had previously cleared Haji, who is defending his Sulaman seat, of any wrongdoing.
From now on, you can also listen to Kini News on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Scan the QR code on the screen to follow us.
The court has rejected the remand applications by the police for 10 people who had protested the demolition of homes in Kampung Papan yesterday. However, it was reported that another 9 people were arrested this morning.
The court has rejected the police's remand applications for Party Socialist Malaysia members and activists who had protested the demolition of homes in Kampung Papan. PSM Deputy Chairperson S. Aruchelvan told Malaysia Kini that the group of 10 individuals are expected to be released today. He said they would be released after certain processing works are completed at the Klang police station. However, according to PSM, 9 more people were arrested this morning. Those hauled up by police include PSM Central Committee member Chong Yi-shan, as well as Swaram Documentation and Monitoring Coordinator Jernel Tan. While details on the latest round of arrests remain unclear, Aruchelvan said the group are likely being held under Section 186 of the Penal Code for allegedly obstructing civil servants from doing their duty. Yesterday, police detained 10 people in Kampong Papan as they attempted to stop the demolition of homes in the area. The demolition works at Kampong Papan began on Monday and continued until today.
Still on the topic, the Selangor government has reiterated that a developer had committed to demolishing only vacant homes at Kampong Papan. This comes amid reports that occupied homes were also being razed.
Selangor State Executive Councillor Borhan Aman Shah stated that the state government had agreed that demolition will only be carried out on vacant structures without occupants in Kampong Papan. According to Borhan, this decision was made during a special meeting chaired by Selangor Menteri Besar Amiruddin Shari on October 21st as part of the state government's prudent and resolution-focused approach. The meeting also determined that the developer, Melati Ehsan Consolidated Sendirian Berhad, is required to surrender approximately 8 acres of land to the state government. Following the decision, Borhan explained that the state government issued an official letter to Melati Ehsan on November 11th, confirming the company's commitment to surrender the land and ensuring that demolition will be postponed until the land handover is completed. Borhan emphasized that the land surrender is a crucial step toward facilitating a more organized and sustainable resettlement process. He also highlighted that the state government is prepared to offer temporary housing through the Smart Sewa scheme to settlers who need it at an affordable rental rate. Furthermore, he noted that the land surrendered by Melati Ehsan will be used to develop apartments as a long-term solution for the affected settlers.
Back to Albert Tay. The business person has responded to Lim Lip Ng over his remarks on the Sabah mining scandal.
Albert Tay has questioned whether DAP lawmaker Lim Lip Ng would have had the courage to confront Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim over the Sabah mining scandal. This was in response to Lim's remarks over the issue yesterday. In a statement, Tay said that he was not confident or convinced that Lim would dare to oppose the Prime Minister to cooperate with him. He also addressed Lim's question about why he didn't cooperate with him back then. Tay reminded Lim that on November 11th last year, on the day the suggestion was offered, his lawyer had sent a letter to the Prime Minister regarding the corruption scandal. Tay claimed that Anwar ignored his efforts to expose the corruption scandal because he wanted to protect the GRS government leaders for his political agenda. He was referring to Anwar's refusal to provide him protection as a whistleblower on the grounds that the business person was the person who offered bribes in exchange for mineral exploration licenses. Citing Anwar's remarks, Tay said he is not foolish and claimed that the response was a subtle attempt to dissuade him from exposing the scandal. Tay also challenged Lim's claim that if he had followed the lawmaker's advice, he might not have been prosecuted because he would have submitted the information on the scandal through proper channels. He said if he had listened to him, the Sabah corruption scandal would have been buried forever without anyone knowing. He argued that he was prosecuted for opposing high-profile and powerful figures, not for exposing the matter through the wrong channels.
A Warisan leader has urged Bersih to deploy volunteers to avert money politics in the Sabah polls. Here's more on that.
Warisan's legal advisor Chin Teck Meng has called Bersih to deploy volunteers to monitor the upcoming Sabah polls. This is to ensure no money politics is involved. He also called upon the Election Commission to enforce stricter transparency on campaign financing and impose immediate penalties on candidates found distributing money or goods. He urged Bersih to mobilize at least 500 trained volunteers to be stationed across rural and remote seats, covering before, during, and after polling day. Chin also proposed that Bersih cooperate with Sabah-based NGOs and community leaders to establish real-time reporting mechanisms via a dedicated hotline and mobile application for voters to report any bribery anonymously. He stressed that their presence is critical to deter cash handouts, misuse of government machinery, and last-minute inducements that undermine the integrity of Sabah's democracy. Sabah heads to the polls on November 29th, with nominations set for tomorrow, and early voting is on November 25th.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Zarifa. Thanks for watching.